before we, started recording, we were talking about earning it. The year before you were in Boston, it was a great year, but your first year in Boston,
yeah,
left a lot to be desired, if we're going to be honest, because you go to Boston, you were a big signing, expected to do big things, push them over the hump, win a Stanley Cup. Just talk about how frustrating that first year was, because you had to have just been going crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that was a lot of soul searching that year for sure. When you're at the end of your career in a sense too, where you're, I've had a lot of great years. Is this it? You're kind of thinking like, is this how I'm going to go out? Because obviously when you have a down year like that, everybody's counting you out. They're like, oh, he's done. I had some of my closest guys be like, hey, I had a great career.
You had a good run, Nick.
Yeah, like some guys in management or, hey, Nick, it's just, you're just like, but I was like, no, like I know what was going on. I wasn't healthy. And, it sucks because you feel healthy, but then you don't realize like healthy in my eyes I was saying, I'm coming out of Toronto where I got hurt for the first time, serious injury, back injury, never had that, debilitating. Had to rehab all summer long. So you're not really training. You're not actually putting the work in. You're just trying to get healthy. That's it. Well, I just missed the whole summer of getting better, to be honest with you. And at my age, that's no good. And it really showed me how important my fitness, my health is as I've gotten older and the things I need to do. And so going into Boston where I felt healthy, but as soon as something went wrong or my body fell apart, because it wasn't strong enough to withstand a full 82 games. And when you don't get out of the chute, I think I tore my oblique 2 games into the season, and then you go MCL, then a concussion. You just never can quite get going, right? And you're fighting it, and you're trying to be a good teammate, but you're freaking miserable. Sorry, pardon my language. You're miserable. I knew I was gonna flip one in. Sorry, but that was really hard for me because you're a proud guy and you can help, but you can't, right? And so I was just so dedicated to getting healthy and training my butt off that whole summer to show my teammates this is the real version of me that you're getting.
Oh, yeah.
I was really proud to be able to do that in Boston that last year and have a special run with that group. And it was a really special group of guys. I was so thankful to be a Boston Bruin those 2 years because it taught me a lot about a culture, one that we had in Columbus for a lot of years when I was there. I'm really proud of, but had lost it over time as we just started to lose some pieces. And you can see when you have it, how special it is, and you want to hold on to it. And that's what I'm hoping to bring here to Chicago is that culture, that identity, that beautiful thing when you walk into a room and you're like, whoa, there's something special going on here. And that's what I want people to feel when they walk into the Chicago Blackhawks dressing room. I want them to feel what they probably had in those 2013, 2015, 2010 runs where this is a special group. And, I want Connor to feel that. I want Alex Vlasic. Maybe I'm not around to see the results of it all, but I hope that we can build that so that when I leave, I'm like, they're going on a run. This is going to be fun. And maybe while I'm there too, we'll see. But that was an eye opener for me. And I think why I have such an appreciation for playing still and such a passion. And, I feel better than ever.
Well, hopefully that second year in Boston, you felt the turnaround from the fans because you were a fan favorite. You were one of the most, just rooted for players on the whole team. And whether you were fighting, scoring, whatever, it was just, I think you totally won people over, and hopefully you felt that. But the second year, it's easy to love a guy when everything's going as well as it did that season for you guys. And I have to ask about the playoffs just because, it's been a couple of years now, but you have a record-breaking season. You go all in at the trade deadline. I know.
Had to bring it up, Tim. Still not healed.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Now that it's been a couple of years, how do you make sense of it? What happened and how did it go that way?
Honest to God, I think we just had a spoil of riches. And I think it was just so hard with the team that we had, because if you remember too, when we brought in some of the guys that we brought in, I was hurt, Taylor Hall was hurt. And then now we got healthy, and it was like this, we had this group that ran for a while. And then you bring in these other guys. Now they ran for a month. So I'm sure for Monty, it was like, who do I put in? And you almost overthink it because we were doing so well in the series. And then they claw back and then he's like, hey, which goalie do I go with? Because both have been great. And then I'm sure it just was like, I have too many options. And I think it can get confusing. And then the mojo is kind of lost because we had Bergie out. I don't know if you remember, Kretsch was hurt too. And now you got to get them back in because they deserve to be back in, but we just won without them for 2 games. So it's like, how do you not put your captain? It's just, there were so many good players sitting out. It was almost too good of a team. And honest to God, it was almost too good of a team. And I think Florida just played on that. They played on the doubt of they're just coming. They were nothing to lose, and they just kept, scoring the big goal that we just never could seem to find. I mean, I think you remember Marshy had that breakaway. If he scores, it's over, right? And it's just they found a way to score the overtime goals. We didn't score one of them. So that's the difference in the series. We just never had that big moment that they seem to thrive off of. And look at the difference in organizations like Florida. I think we're going to make a lot of changes because they had already just traded Huberdeau. I think, their team was really struggling. If they didn't win out of that first round, I think there were going to be some honest conversations with even management, like, wait, what are we doing here? And then boom, now they're Stanley Cup champions, and Boston's still trying to figure it out. It's crazy how, Bergie retires, Kretsch retires, I leave, and it's amazing what Boston was still able to do last year with the turnaround and turnover that they had. But that speaks to the culture that Boston has, right? They just slot guys in and boom, away they go. And so yeah, it's one that doesn't sit well with me still, but that's sports, and it's amazing what could have been though. Oh man.
Nick, it makes me happy to hear that because I've talked about this theory quite a bit with Tim, and he hates it.
Ugh.
Patrice Bergeron, heartbeat of the team, captain, injured. I've always said that he should have sat out maybe game 5 and just give it one more game, get to the second round, and then he plays game 6 and game 7 and he loses all 3. I've amped it up a little bit. I said he was, maybe selfish for playing, and he's the reason why Boston lost in the first round. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel like you were alluding to it a little bit.
No, the thing is, how do you not play Bergie? If Bergie's telling me he's good to go, I'm putting him in the lineup every day. But I know what you're saying. In my heart, you're also like, man, let's get you healthy so you can be really effective. Because I know he was playing hurt. And in the playoffs, you can play hurt to some degree. And when later in this, and everyone's playing hurt later in the playoffs. But
first round, you're up 3-1.
Everyone's still pretty healthy. So when you are hurt, it is noticeable. And, I think Bergie definitely felt that, but you got to go with your horses, right? And that's the hard part. And that's what I'm saying. There were so many guys that just, I'm sure Monty was like, who do I not put in? And then he scratched me in game 7, and it was like, you're just like, that was your decision. But I get it. He's like,
big mistake, Monty.
He's young, he's ready to go. And I'll never agree with it, but I know he's just in his mind, he's doing the right thing. And, it sucks because it's no one's fault. It's all our faults why we lost, right? That's the reality of it. It's all our faults. We all had a hand in it, but it's the spoil of riches that we had. And I honestly think Sweens did too good of a job. I'm going to blame.
But it's mostly Bergie's fault, you would say.
Never. That guy will never get blamed in anything in my eyes. He's one of the best. I
can see you're saying it with your eyes, though.
Yeah. No.
Well, you were just at the wedding with a bunch of the guys, and one of the big questions that everyone's wondering right now is, when is Swayman going to sign? Have you heard anything about him? You talked to him at all?
You know what? We didn't even get into that conversation. There was way too many other things going on, but I got to think it's going to get that. I mean, he's too important, too good.
Yeah.
I'm sure, it's just the politics of going to arbitration or almost going to arbitration last year. I'm sure he's just like, hey, I had a great season. I backed up my talk. I want to get paid for it. So rightfully so. And I mean, he's an elite goaltender in this league. I know you could say he hasn't won anything, but it took Sergei Bobrovsky how many years to finish the job too, and he's won 2 Vezinas. So I think Sway is the next wave of elite goaltenders in this league. And if he doesn't stay in Boston, I'm sure there's a few teams that would swoop in. Hopefully, Chicago. No, we like our goalies. I like who we have actually, but I think we'd all take a Swayman. That's for sure. He's a great guy too.